Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for that introduction, Mark. It's the best introduction I've ever had for a public presentation, mainly because this is my first ever public presentation. TEDx speakers are usually creative, innovative types, so I had to wonder why the TEDx organisers invited a blunt, cantankerous old guy like me to give the closing presentation today. They told me that I seem to share a strong passion for a future Guernsey, of which we can feel proud as a community. And they asked me to share some views on the community actually delivering change, based on experience to date with Floral Guernsey, Vallette, the Little Chapel and elsewhere. Today's event is called Future Guernsey, A New Dawn for Guernsey, for us, for our children and beyond. Within a month, the States will also release its long-term plan for the island called Future Guernsey. Can we deliver a better future for Guernsey? For me, the answer is in the title of my talk today. No is not an answer, not an option. After providing some background for those who do not know me, I will cover four things in my talk: an assessment of where we are today as an island, some thoughts on the island and perhaps the branding to which we should aspire, a recap of what you, as a community of volunteers, have been delivering recently, a new challenge focusing on what perhaps we should deliver next. This could keep us all out of our comfort zones, because if we remain in our comfort zones, we're not trying hard enough. After being educated in marketing and then frustrated in industry, I tried farming and bought a farm in Devon where I've got 70 cows and fed 2,000 pigs daily for 6 years. There are no excuses in farming. There is just a need to get the job done every single day. That's where I learned for the first time that no is not an option. I then lost use of my hands through dermatitis and returned to industry, later starting my own business as a solution centre for the civil and mechanical trades, i.e. the hire, sale and repair of specialised industrial equipment. Simply put, if you are meant to be a solution centre and you are asked for help to find a solution to various problems, answering no is not an option. In business, management are paid extra to find solutions and do everything in the most efficient and cost-effective way. That applies equally in both the private and public sectors. Above all else, we need to find a positive approach to managing solutions in demanding times. This involves focusing on productivity, changing working practices, efficiency and creativity. It is heartening that some of the most senior individuals in the States of Guernsey recognise this, as the States defines its vision for future Guernsey and builds further on its public service reform agenda. So where is Guernsey today? Put bluntly, the overall balance of our product offering is poor. The States aspires to a healthy and happy island, underpinned by a successful diverse economy, which is a good start. But as the slide shows, we might start with a perfect, beautiful view, but sometimes we can spoil it with a bog standard, inappropriate road sign. Today we have a finance industry which dominates all others and amounts to some 40% of GDP. Long may the strength of the finance industry continue, but we also need to invest in other sectors so that we can share some of the responsibility for the prosperity of the island. We also have the remains of a tourism industry, but it has serious issues. We also have perhaps the remains of a horticultural industry. made famous by the once highly successful Guernsey tomato. But does Guernsey have a well-recognised brand today? Perhaps it's either as an offshore tax haven or as a crown dependency, whatever that implies, or as a bailiwick of Guernsey, with not many people knowing what a bailiwick is. Therefore, I would argue there is no real brand today. I would also argue that our future brand must play to our enduring strength of unspoilt beauty, horticulture, a healthy location, hospitality, and the best year-round microclimate in Western Europe. We can and should create the Islands of Flowers as our distinctive brand, with the islands including Alderney, Herm and Sark, possibly even Jersey. Collectively, we can polish our silver and present an outstanding proposition based on our heritage. But to do so, we must have both leadership and a common goal. Well, look at what you as a community of volunteers have already been delivering. The town flowers, the airport, Vallette bathing pools, the little chapel. And all of this is beyond or in addition to the work done by the community volunteers across the parishes and islands. Examples including Britain in Bloom and other initiatives with outstanding recognition, results and awards for the island. The town flowers helped to make StPeterPort truly outstanding and special to locals and visitors. We knew we needed a piped water irrigation system some 5.5 miles long throughout the town flower displays. And it had to be done in a heritage listed town of ancient buildings without any central or state's funding. Could parish volunteers and Floral Guernsey possibly do this? The answer, no, was not an option. No pipe, no water, no flowers. The results are there for you all to see and enjoy. The first thing most visitors and homecoming islanders see of Guernsey is when they step outside of the airport terminal. Until 3 years ago, it was a vehicle turning area with some poorly planted scrubland as a boundary to a car park. It conveyed no message, except perhaps uninspired neglect. Today we have a separately funded Allied Aircrew Memorial to remember those who gave their lives for us as a community in the air above Guernsey during the Second World War. And we have a more notable display of plants welcoming visitors to Guernsey. A big challenge at that time was to use the balance of funds provided by Culture and Leisure Department at the airport, which was controlled by the separate Public Services Department. It was suggested we could not possibly use funding from one department for the benefit of another state's department. When considering if we could indeed do this, one phrase came to mind. No is not an option. And now to Vallette, our amazing front garden up to our island. It encompasses a short stroll from central StPeterPort around Vallette Bay, the Victorian bathing pools and Clarence Battery. This part of our heritage was used by many islanders in their younger days. It was also perhaps one of the saddest advertisements of the managed decline of our island. Apparently, there was no funding to carry out rudimentary maintenance, let alone reverse the policy of managed decline over the last 10 years. Other, less wealthy islands have maintained, preserved and showcased such pools, Malta being an example. Yet this was not deemed a priority for any funding by the States of Guernsey. The community of volunteers thought otherwise. Some 600 volunteers were mobilised to clear the area of brambles of severe overgrowth and to reinstate historical paths, views and planting. A number of generous benefactors and businesses with specialist skills made this a high-quality community effort. Large sections of granite coins, dislodged from the pools by the storms and left to lay on the rocks below, were recovered in a very creative way. They are being pinned back into a position in a much stronger way than has ever been the case in the past. The changing rooms, handrails and other facilities at the pools are likewise being painstakingly restored. Even the prisoners at Guernsey Prison contributed by making superb Victorian bench seats to designs and colours created free by a private sector designer. Funding is not in place for all activities and for all types of continuing maintenance, so there is still some work to do. In addition, the final major pool, the gents' pool, still needs to be brought back into operational use, but this is currently underway. There is one clear answer to the question: are we as a community going to act to prevent our heritage and these public amenities disappearing through managed decline and decay? And you probably already guessed it. No is not an option. My final example here is the Little Chapel. This is the most visited attraction on Guernsey, some 90,000 visitors per annum, and 24 months ago it was falling down. At the time it was owned by a religious order based in France, which could not fund its major repairs and continuing maintenance. The states, as it did not own it, explained that it likewise could not contribute to its repairs and maintenance. Were we and you, as a community, prepared to act to prevent the Little Chapel disintegrating and disappearing forever? No was not an option. We have managed to create a new foundation to manage it, are acquiring the Little Chapel for Guernsey, have underpinned it, have restored the roof and other key parts of it for the future, and we are now working on the further stages of its restoration and improvement. This covers the surrounding area as well as putting the future of the Little Chapel on a more stable financial footing. So with these 4 examples, you or we, the community, have demonstrated our willingness and ability to act and deliver, regardless of any inaction or challenges elsewhere. In some of those examples, there remains much still to do, but we will complete the job. Yet despite good progress made, now is neither the time to congratulate ourselves nor rest on any laurels. Let us now step up a further gear and go for gold. I refer to Summery Park. We are not making the best use of it. As a community, the parkland areas are not as well maintained as a whole as they could be. It is owned by the states, and apparently there is no money to do anything about it other than further reduce the cost of maintenance. In its heyday, it was home to both Admiral de Summery and Lord de Summery, many of whose heritage possessions currently reside in storage. It also had a superb Victorian and earlier garden features, currently lost, but recorded in plans or photographs. In the past there were summer houses, a temple, a waterfall, a pergola, and other items of Victorian and prior significance there. It has already been vetted by the Royal Horticultural Society as a potential approved garden, so it could become really special. The apparent policy of managed decline to cut costs has been applied over many years, and I don't mean just to the park itself. The area called Home Farm behind the park, currently used for overflow parking, stretches all the way down to the coast, with the resulting access to the beach, the shops, the food outlets and hotels. The heritage areas of interest at Leggett, Fort Hume and Grand Rock Battery are a short distance away. There is so much more that can be created here to showcase our past heritage for locals and visitors alike. In addition, the Glades area towards the quarry, there may even be the potential for something like a Go Ape swinging ropes facility for 14 to 45-year-olds to use, or other things to support healthy pursuits on the available land, such as segways? Are we prepared to do something major and positive here to stop our heritage either disappearing or being left behind, hidden in storage somewhere? I'd like to think that no is not an option, and that we will collectively step up to this next major project. As the sun goes down on my presentation today, and indeed on today's overall proceedings, I am very aware that this further challenge will indeed be daunting. However, if we simply remain living in our comfort zone, we are not trying hard enough. Therefore, by refusing to accept managed decline of our heritage assets, by preserving our heritage for future generations, and by creating the Islands of Flowers as our brand, are we, the community, and you in particular, prepared to help to make a difference? Individually, we can all make a difference, but working together as a community, we can make a very significant impact. Tomorrow brings a new dawn and a new future Guernsey. As Heather Small sings in her song called Proud, realise that to question is how we grow. Never too late to try. We need to change. Do it today. What have you done to make you feel proud? Please help us and the wider community of volunteers in whatever way you can. You collectively will help future Guernsey, however good you want it to be, with support from others and from the States. Thank you for listening.